All right, guys, let's go ahead and get right into it, and we'll talk about pressure control, okay? Pressure control is not really so much of a move as it is more just like concepts, right? How to hold the side control position. Okay, so a lot of the times, Coach Chris, a lot of times I get the side control obviously by passing around his legs, right? He's really dangerous here. As soon as I'm able to get around the legs into this position here where I'm past his legs, this is what's called side control, okay? And we specifically call it pressure control, and I'll talk about that in just a second here. But let's talk about how it's like traditionally held, side control that is, the way I was taught, which is not necessarily wrong, but I don't think as effective as what we teach here for pressure control. So for side control, a lot of the times is traditionally taught just by hugging the head, controlling his arm, and really a focus on staying chest to chest here. And a lot of times people will just be grinding and pushing the head away. Sometimes people will be on their toes. All right, not a bad way to hold the position, but the problem is I don't really have anything blocking his hips here. So if I'm controlling this position, staying super tight, you know, smashing his face, sometimes it can be really easy for him just to slip his knees in, and now I gotta pass the guard all over again, which if you know, it can be a really hard and exhausting thing to do. So instead of putting all my pressure on his chest, what I like to do instead is put a lot of pressure on his hips, which is going to be using my right hip up against his right hip. All right? So we stay hip to hip, and there's not a lot of space here for him to get his knees in. Try to get your knees in. Very difficult, right? There's no space at all. So the whole idea is staying hip to hip. Right? I never want to be in a situation where my hips are falling off and on the mat. So now look, you have a little space here to start sneaking that knee in. Okay? So very, very important to put your hip directly on your partners or your opponents and never let them touch the floor. Okay? Hands sometimes are kind of doing a lot of different things here, but the way we traditionally teach it, on your first day is we'll put the left thumb right in the collar, and oftentimes what we'll do is we'll bring this arm straight to keep his head turned away from me. This hand here, a lot of times you see people go underneath the head, which is incorrect because you can just kind of start looking to bump me over. You can start sneaking out, taking my back, okay? So we want to make sure that the hand stays under his arm, not only under his arm, but I want my elbow staying tight to his hips on the other side. So I'm securing his hips with my hip on this side and securing his hip on this side using my elbow, okay? And I can turn his head the other way, and now I have his hips locked in place. He can't go anywhere. Not only that, but you can see how I'm posted up on this foot here, okay? My knee is not on the ground. In fact, my knee is up off of the ground. I'm on my foot. And the whole idea of why this foot is posted is because I want to start using my hips to back his legs and his knees in this direction here. The reason being is I'm giving him an extra step, so to speak, to start recomposing his guard. So I'll drive off this foot the other way, and if he tries to move or turn back into me, I'm just going to follow him and keep that pressure on him. Okay? Because as soon as I stop giving pressure, I stay hip to hip, he can start moving his feet away, getting his knees in, and now I got to start all over again. Okay? So when we're holding this position, a lot of times when we do it in class, we just have the person on top doing the move, just get in position, and the person on bottom is just going to move around a bit, and then you're just going to stay glued on top in a good pressure control position. Okay? So hip to hip, elbow pinching the hips on the other side, my arm is underneath here, this hand is grabbing the lapel, I can turn his head the other way while I'm posted up on this foot and driving his hips and his knees in the opposite direction here. So Chris is just going to go ahead and move around a little bit, and all I do is I just move with him and I follow. All right? As you can see, this leg's not really doing much, it's just kind of along for the ride here. More this leg that's doing all the work. Okay? And we call that pressure control. There's other variations to hold that position, but in this video we're just talking about how to hold the standard pressure control position.